I had a student who lives in Hong Kong right now, and she's in graphic design. And she came out of my college with not much knowledge about graphic design. She got into a company where they were teaching her graphic design. And she learned a lot, to the point where she actually worked herself out of the job because she knew too much about graphic design. So then she went independent. She started her own business, basically, and she was doing very, very well. And then romance set in, and she met her husband, who lived in Hong Kong. But because she was independent, and she wasn't working for any one company, she could easily transfer to Hong Kong, where there's a lot of graphic design companies. And so she worked for a small one, and I just met her about a month ago, and she loves it, loves it.
Sense of independent.
Independent.
Students, not students, or like the people in China, they're building relationship with families and parents and stuff.
Sure.
They don't learn how to be independent in general.
Right.
So, do you think there's a main difference between the United States cultural and Chinese culture? And the students in China and US, do you think? Can you say something about this?
Yeah, it's there's certainly cultural differences, and I teach intercultural communication. I'm teaching it here, a class in it. And the U.S. tends to be what we say more individualistic, more I-oriented, goal-oriented, independent, if you will. Countries like China tend to be more collectivist, group-oriented in that sense. This doesn't mean that in the U.S. we don't do group things, and in China they don't do individual things, but the emphasis tends to be in those areas there. So there is that cultural pressure. But in the world that's changing so quickly with globalization and people connecting and learning different cultures and so on.
Learning from each other.
Learning from each other. I've learned a great deal since I've been here, for instance, that I think it's important that, again, you be flexible, that it's good to have the groupness, and you can always have that, and so on. But at the same time, you want to develop a certain amount of independence in the sense that you may want to branch out and try, another business, or open up your own business, for instance. I know that's very big, becoming bigger in China, entrepreneurship. And that takes independence to a certain extent. So a risk, if you will, in that sense.
Back to the issue.
Yeah.
Your students just recently graduate, but in a company they're not that good, and not only the boss, but like the environment around you is like they don't work hard, but you're a new company, you don't see a future in that. How can you be, be passionate and it's not a big company.
Right.
In a big company, you know how to learn how a company runs. You feel you learn around a lot of stuff, but in this one, sometimes you feel you don't improve, just do things you don't want.
Right.
It's a bad feeling, but how you gonna?
That's hard. Yeah, that's hard, and it doesn't even have to be a small company. It can be a big company.
Facing that issue
yes.
now.
Yes. I tell my students, I suggest to them that it's just like being a student. A teacher can only motivate you so much. You've got to motivate yourself internally, right? And so let's say you're in a job where it's not the best job in the world, maybe people aren't that excited about it, maybe you don't have a good boss. That still doesn't mean you can't look for things that make your job interesting, that motivate you to want to learn more. Keep in mind, you may not stay there your whole life, but the more you motivate yourself and you learn more, and you don't have to go telling people that, oh, there's a better way to do it. Just kind of file it up here. And this way, when you go to your next job, you say, oh, I've learned some things that will make me better, and I can apply it on my next job.
Wow.
Yeah. So you motivate yourself. Matter of fact, it's interesting, we've talked about this in my organizational class. The strongest motivators, it comes internally, from the excitement of the job, the interest of the job. So you really need to find that. Same thing with a student. A teacher can't motivate a student, all right? The student's got to come in with that love, that passion, and let that grow. And you can always tell the more motivated student, because they're the ones, if the teacher says, oh, read like one chapter, they'll read two, because they want to learn more. And that's what you got to do. You got to motivate yourself.
Back to the topic.
Yes.
Now we have a film watching group, like 5 students forming that.
Right.
We love film.
Love film.
And the instructor is gathering us around and watch film every Tuesday night at a room like that big, with a big screen.
Yeah.
And we just 5 or 6 come in, and after we watch it, we talk about the movie.
Good.
Yeah, and we gain a lot of stuff.
Right.
Actually forming a group.
Right.
But the school says just 5 students watching that movie and using that big a room. How about you students go back to your dormitory and watch it on a computer using a better way? But now the school is trying to stop this project. It's killing the project. But from organization communication speaking, do you think we getting around and watching movies is going to be a better way?
Yeah, it's again, the school has its own policy, and I respect what they're doing here. At my school, and I can only use my example here, we will have, for instance, teachers and students will go to a movie theater and see a movie together, and maybe then have some dinner afterwards, for instance, and then go to either a place on campus or maybe even a faculty's house, and very nice, and they'll sit and they'll talk. And they'll talk about the movie, what they learned. They do that with books too. Like they'll all read the same book, and then they'll get together and discuss the book.
We'll get together and drink the hot tea and
socialize.
Book.
Socialize, yeah.
We think this is fun, and we're happier.
Yeah, you're happier. Okay.
We communication with each other.
Right.
The movie maybe is not that important, but the communication process is so much important.
Sure. I mean, there's so many different ways to learn. And that's the beauty of learning. There's not just one way. And as I said earlier, it may not always be in the classroom. It could be, in the movie theater where you're learning and talking about it and so on. So yeah, I think, again, from my experience, and that's all I have to go on, is these are things that we do at my college and our university, and students seem to like that. They have kind of a film group they developed. Yeah.
Yeah, we keep a record of what students say in that we watch the movie. We keep it.
Oh, you keep a record.
And we make it out as like.
I see. I don't think we do that.
It takes time.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
Oh yeah.